not bright enough. Yes. Brother, don't scratch it. Don't scratch it. Put an ice pack on it. Pretend it's not there. Hi. Ignore my storage and my weird layout of my house. It looks uglier than it actually has the potential to be. I wanted to give a part 2. I'm trying to film a part 2. My video from the other day. Talking about this process. But I don't really know how to talk about it, but I want to talk about it. I wonder what it's like, or rather I observe that it's probably very similar, being a split psychology system as compared to someone who's got a whole integrated personality. I'm sure it's actually not too much different, and maybe it is, and I don't know. I wouldn't know, because I'm not a normal person. I'm not an integrated personality, so to speak. But I have some complaints as a host of a system. I have some complaints. First of all, I am made to look crazy when in reality I'm just kept in the dark, kept unaware. The other parts they seem to be more aware than I am of how things work. Our own psyche and emotions, aware of memories. Memory recall is not completely up to me. Some of my memories are manipulated. I will remember something one way and then it will change into something different that affects the way that I behave. And I know that just about everybody experiences memories not quite matching up with what actually happened because our perception decides what happened, not actually what happened. I understand the difference. Definitely, there's a lot of doubt I deal with, and I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. Some part of me who doesn't want to talk about it because of that doubt that someone's going to understand, or the fear that I'm going to be misunderstood and there will be false information spread about it and that my perspective is not going to be validated. I've heard so many other testimonies enough to know that doubting my own experience is a terrible idea. And listening to that inner critical voice to the point that I don't take action is also a bad idea. Way too materialistic. Hi, Maxie. Hey, boo. And how is it that some of us are worried about our appearance? Who fucking cares? I do. I do care, and I don't want to care. I need to be honest. What, Bubba? Dad went to the store. He'll be back soon. Such a good boy, Mr. Bubs. Isn't he handsome? Max is not used to... This move is very new. He for 7 years of his life, he was in the same place, and then we moved for the first time, and he is used to being an outdoor cat. He hasn't been outside since we moved, almost 2 weeks ago. I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with him, because he could have become quite pent up by now and so frustrated, but it's not bad. He's being really good. And they're being amazing about the litter box. Speaking of which, I should not be filming right now. I need to go clean their litter boxes. So, part 1.5. That's better. Apparently I need light right on my face. Hello, light. Hello, light. 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 Better. Yeah, no? Okay, well, I'm gonna look ugly for this video. Embrace the ugly. Very distracted, and I do not like this lighting or how I look at all. We're gonna do it anyway. OSDD stands for oppositional... No, it doesn't. OSDD is otherwise specified dissociative disorder. Dissociative disorder can look like many different things. but the level of dissociation we're discussing is the extreme kind that results in the psychology splitting and the personality not developing as one cohesive part, but rather as parts or archetypes with more separation between them than regular mood states for someone with a whole integrated personality. Dissociative identity disorders can come because of complex and repeated trauma. Usually it's in developmental years, infancy, childhood, and such. It can happen. It can, no matter what somebody argues, it can happen when you're an adult. And I'm not talking splitting again as an adult after you've developed as a child through splitting. No, I'm talking there's people who can grow up normal and then have repeated events as an adult, and it can result in splitting, because that's how our minds are designed to survive bad things that our minds perceive as unsurvivable and inescapable. But there's a mechanism in the subconscious that makes it so that our bodies and minds adapt. Adaptation does not always mean health. Remember that. Adaptation does not always mean that you're in optimal health. It just means you're surviving the circumstances until they've passed. Adaptation is not a permanent word. I think people use it as an excuse. Oh, you can adapt, you'll be fine. Yeah, I'll adapt, but no, I won't be fine. And neither will you if you keep it up. The cats are so happy. They're running around right now because they're so happy that I changed their litter box, finally. I only had 2 litter boxes. We have 3 cats, a 1-bedroom apartment, and 2 litter boxes in one room, and they were using it up so fast. I was trying to keep up. I was keeping up, but I finally caved and filled up a 3rd one. People are just going to have to put up with a 3rd litter box in another part of the house. What I wanted to discuss in particular with dissociative disorders, ones that result in split personalities, I wanted to talk about specifically what it's like to have OSDD, because I don't know what it's like to have full-blown separation between parts, like DID, dissociative identity disorder, but it's pretty close. And as something to consider is that everybody has a different, unique experience to their own. For me, I'm aware that mood states are separated by parts that hold those moods. And those moods also go alongside skill sets. Parts, they hold things. I could have, say you have 5 parts. One of them holds social skills. The other holds the trauma, holds all the memories of the trauma. Another part could hold the emotion of like anger and resentment and all of those negative hot emotions, but they could also have a skill set of assertion and protection. And everyone has a multiplicity to their mind. It's just psychology. It's called archetypes. Jungian and Freud, especially Jung, Carl Jung, really understood the archetypes and how when the personality is not allowed to integrate as a whole when you're developing, then those archetypes have more separation. Split psychology. It's not really actually that big of a deal. It is to know about and learn about, to be able to integrate and heal, and to stabilize, and to feel like normal and safe in your own body. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. That's why I've been starting to talk about it again, because I'm going through a bit of a shift where, well, also, it's a remembering. We come back to this all the time. My system, the Emporium, or the Empire, we always come back to remembering that we forgot. And that's what frustrates me as a host. being a host, I'm not allowed to be as aware, really at all, of how things work, and other parts will manipulate memories or will deny me access. There's control. There's a controlled amount of access to skill sets, memories, and awareness that I have as a host, that the others, I don't know who has access to what. I don't know. I have no idea. And when I try to communicate with the inner parts, there is so much, like, sludge. The noise goes through these layers of sludge or fog. And it's so difficult to discern what's being said. And parts communicate in different ways, too. Sometimes it could be words, sometimes it's feelings, sometimes it's images projected into the mind. Sometimes it's sensations in the body. And sometimes it's flashbacks. And sometimes it's just awareness. And I'm aware here and there of... There's a part called Shem. He's a gatekeeper and protector. Farah. She is a feisty one, but also interesting. I think she has a lot more mystery about her than I initially realized. I think she is like an access point for other parts to come through and express themselves. Because Farah is very much free-willed and does not conform, doesn't hold back. And so she represents freedom. She represents wilderness, like wild, untamed, feminine. And Shem is more or less like representative of male. There are parts who are modeled after real people, and there are parts who are created unique. And then there's parts called fictives, which are based off of things that are not real. It could be a cartoon character. It could be an inanimate object. It could be an idea. So Tinkerbell could be one of them, which is, as far as I'm aware, I don't actually have that as a part. Fictives are a little difficult for me to pinpoint. I think there's definitely fictives. There's a dragon. And then there's non-human parts. It gets weird. But only if you think of it as weird, I guess. That was important. Honestly, that was really important for me when I was talking about it with people, and I would say, yeah, it's weird, and they would go, it's not. It's actually pretty normal. Like, do you know how healing that is? To open up to someone about what you're dealing with, navigating the negative stigma around it, still talking about it, and have the person receive it and reflect it in a way that's healthy. That's a really big deal. It's appreciated. I have this issue as a host of, I have these seasons, like these cycles, where I become aware and I remember the parts, and they're more communicative and coming from the back into the front, so to speak. Like the front right here, my awareness is a control room with like a projection screen where I can see everything that my eyes are seeing, and we're aware of everything that I, the host, am aware of in this room. And there's a door in the back, and through that door on the other side are gatekeepers and protectors who are in charge of keeping order. And that door, other parts can come and go depending on who's allowed to come in and who... I don't really know. Actually, I don't know the rules 100% because I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm the host. And there's only been like very few occasions where I, as the host, have been pushed out of that room and had to watch what was happening through the glass window in the door. Other times it also appears, depending on our mood state, depending on how we're feeling or how I'm feeling, it can turn into a vehicle where other parts are, one part is driving and then another is in the passenger seat giving directions, and there's other parts in other seats who are giving input and influencing how things are going and what decisions are being made. And oftentimes when that's happening, I'm in the back seat and I'm like in the baby seat. I'm strapped in and I'm not allowed to do much, if anything at all, other than scream pointlessly to be heard and to be let loose again so I can have the wheel because I'm supposed to be the host driving the vehicle. That's really frustrating. Those are really... but when it's calm and things are not being processed in that way, then it's a control room. And it's funny, there's other parts that decide who can come and go, and Shem and Alice seem to really be in charge of, like, deciding who can come through that door. But they also, like, seek my input with decision making if it's called for. But I forget. Other parts make me forget about the system.